Hi, my name is Jesslene. This is a video, we're doing some geometry videos. This is a video on rectangles, and we're going to talk about its properties, and we're going to talk about how we can use them in proofs if we're trying to prove that something is a rectangle. So first of all, rectangles have the same properties as a parallelogram. So if you don't know what that is, the best thing to do is to go and watch the parallelogram video first, okay? So I'm going to go over them really quickly. The properties of a parallelogram say opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary, and diagonals bisect each other. So those are the parallel properties. So in a rectangle, it has all those properties plus a few more. So it has two more. So it has all angles are right angles. This is what distinguishes it between a rectangle and a parallelogram. And diagonals are congruent. So not only do diagonals bisect each other, they are also congruent. So if we have our rectangle here, ABCD, and that means AD would be congruent to CB. So not only do AD and BC bisect each other, which remember we know what bisect means. It means that this and this are congruent, and then these two segments are also congruent to each other. So rectangles have two more properties added onto parallelograms. All angles are right angles and diagonals are congruent. So the definition of a rectangle, because you can use this in proofs as well, is a rectangle is a quadrilateral with four right angles. So if you have a picture and it says that it has four right angles, you can say this is a rectangle, and your reasoning would be by definition of a rectangle. Not by a theorem, but by definition of a rectangle, because that's not a theorem, that is the definition of a rectangle. So here's the theorems of a rectangle. If a parallelogram is a rectangle, then its diagonals are congruent. Remember, the definition says that it has four right angles. The theorem says, so here's theorem 1, if it is a parallelogram, then the diagonals, which I already have up here, are congruent. So that's theorem 1. And then you can do the converse of it. Remember, the converse is just when you switch it. So if the diagonals of a parallelogram are congruent, then we can automatically say that it is a parallelogram, that it is a rectangle, okay? So if this is true, this is a parallelogram, and then if we state that is a rectangle, then we know that its diagonals are congruent. So here's an example. So let me draw this really quickly. So knowing all of those theorems and properties of a rectangle, I'm going to draw this a little bit smaller. Okay, so this is 1, that is 2. Ooh, I need to draw it bigger. Woo, we'll get it. I'm going to put this to the side really quickly so I can draw this. It's kind of hard to draw when it's sideways. I've been doing good at it though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, E, 5, 6, and then A, B, C, D. We know that these are right angles. So we know, I'm telling you that this is a rectangle, okay? So all the properties of a rectangle plus all the theorems apply. So it's saying if AE is 3x plus 2, so AE is equal to 3x plus 2, and BE is 29, it wants you to find the value of x. So AE is 3x plus 2, and BE is 29. Well, knowing the theorem says if it is a rectangle, diagonals are congruent, and diagonals bisect each other, so which means that all of these are congruent because the diagonals are congruent, and if they bisect each other, the segments are congruent. So all of those are congruent, which means AE, which is from here to the middle, and BE from here to the middle are also congruent. So 3x plus 2 equals 29. Solve equations. If you don't remember how to solve equations, please go watch that video. And I walk you through the steps, but x is 9 in this case. Okay, the next one, let's do another problem about this. If AC is 21, what is BE? So AC is 21, what is BE? Well, we know that AC and BD are congruent because of that theorem, because it's a rectangle. So BD is 21 as well, but we just want to know BE, which is half of it. And we know because of the parallelogram properties and the rectangle properties that the diagonals bisect each other, that we know BE and ED are congruent as well. So if BE is 21, because it's the same length as AC, then all we have to do is divide that by 2 to just find half of it. And so 10.5. And that is how you do rectangles. Thank you for watching. Bye.